Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to those who elect tabernacle of David that are scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. And before I even play this, I just want to start off from a verse in Genesis, which we go back to the beginning. This is Genesis 3 and verse 15, and this is the Lord speaking to the serpent, after he beguiled Eve. All right, and she ate of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And this is the dynamic that the Lord was set between, the seed, which was a man, and the descendants of, who came out of, Adam and Eve. All right. We go back, to the root. You go all the way back to the Genesis, the beginning, where this all springs from. The current modern hatred between the so-called white man and the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American man. All right. So let's start with this. This is Genesis 3 and 15. And it says, "And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed." So there's going to be a rivalry between both bloodlines. All right, two different genealogies. There's going to be, war between each other, hostility, rivalry. And that's exactly what we see playing out between the descendants of Jacob and the descendants of Esau. "It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel." And Jake still to this day in 2026 are trying to figure out or wonder, why these people, have a hatred for them. I remember years ago, I did a series called "When Will You Realize This Edomite Hates You?" And I think it was like a 20-something part series. And I stopped because it was just overwhelming material. All right, just straight up montages and compilations of Esau showing his hatred, that enmity, horns coming all the way out of him. And in these final times, especially with the devil coming down with great wrath, we're going to see the last of it, but this is probably going to be the worst of it. Okay, from the elites, the super rich, all the way down to the, Joe Schmo, struggling Edomite. Okay, so without further ado, let me just play this real quick. Now, mind you, this happened maybe almost a year ago, where this Edomite in a truck, he had his Confederate flags, hanging out of his truck. So he's one of them type of Edomites. He ran over a 10-year-old Jake that happened to be on an ATV, and he ran him over, and he know that he killed him, but he kept going. But then he returned just to look for his mirror. He didn't stop to to try to get some type of medical attention for him. He didn't try to see if the young Jake was alive. Nothing. He just came back to look for his mirror, and then he just drove off. So that's real clear level hatred right there. But let me play this real quick, because now he had been in custody, but you know how the system do. When Esau does these type of crimes, they're not held to the fullest extent of the law like Jake do. And that's all by design. Okay? They get immunity to do what they do. All right, but you, Jake, you have none. So you're always behind enemy lines. But yeah, let's play it.
Anything to say to the family? Oh, you spit? Yeah. I'm going to see who's going to spit on you when you go to jail. Justice for Jordan. You racist fuck.
So he just flat out just spit on him. Yeah, they're antagonizing him. But hey, you took their relative, you know. You took someone's child, someone's nephew, and you did it with pure unadulterated hate. All right. So this guy decides to spit at him, you know, basically showing this guy has no remorse, no pity, no nothing. So he's not sorry that he did anything. All right. As far as he's concerned, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't commit a crime, and that's Esau all the way. Let me get Amos. It is Amos 1:11. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword and did cast off all pity." You know, he didn't show any compassion or mercy or anything. And his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. And his wrath is still here. All right. And we're going to see it on the highest level right before the Lord shows up. Like it says in Revelation 12:12, the devil shall come down unto you having great wrath, because you know that he had but a short time. It says, "But I will send a fire upon Teman, which shall devour the palaces of Basra." You know, he's going to rain fire and brimstone in the form of thermonuclear ICBMs. Okay, that's ultimately how he's going to get judged. So we know the Lord said, "Vengeance is mine; I will repay." You just read Isaiah the 63rd chapter. So the Lord is definitely going to come in and avenge his people. All right. Let me grab that. It is Isaiah 63:1. It says, "Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save." You know, because the Lord's coming back to save his people. We're going to be saved from our enemies. All right. From the hands of those that oppressed us. Because we're still being oppressed. Judah and Israel will oppress together. All right. The Lord said the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence. And, you know, that starts with the tribes, with Israel. Okay. You got these same type of Edomites. They join in the ICE agency. And they're going around and just targeting Hispanics and natives in Judah. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, don't even matter at this point. They're going straight at the tribes. We know that that's not coincidental. It's all spiritual. All right, Esau's finna try to go for Jacob one last time while his kingdom is in his last seconds. But Jacob's gonna, you know, put up a fight, because the Lord's gonna put that spirit in them to start fighting back. You know, it said that in Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, that Judah is a lion's whelp. You know, he is couched down, you know, as an old lion, you know, but who shall rouse him up? It says, "Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat?" And notice how when Esau was born, it used the analogy of a dyed red garment, you know, because his complexion, he came out red all over. So his appearance is like a symbol, a fit symbol of his own destruction, because when the Lord comes back, he's coming back for blood, and the Edomites are the main target. All right. So Yahweh Shai, you know, that bloody garment is indicative of the slaughtering that he's going to perform on these Edomites. Okay. Because the Edomites are going to be the ruling class nation in power when the Lord returns. All right, that fourth beast. That's that the Edomites. They're in power. They make up the fourth beast. All right, the EU, NATO, and America, Babylon. So this is who the Lord's going to come back to judge. It says, "I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in mine anger." Especially since Esau, his anger tear perpetually, right? So the Lord's going to come and tread them in his anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments. This is going to require that blood that they shed here in his land. Woe unto him that beautiful town with blood and established a city by iniquity. And that's how he even formed America. He founded it on bloodshed, murder, slaughter, genocide. All right, robbery, grape, captivity. It says, "And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come." Okay, so the Lord, it's in his mind, man. He can't wait to get that get back on behalf of his people and himself. Them Romans, they pierced him when he was on that cross. So, continuing on, it says, "And I looked, and there was none to help." Your military, they're going to get wiped out. So you ain't going to have no military strength to help you when the Lord come and see you. "And I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me." Because he's going to redeem Jacob. All right, he's going to save his people, Israel. "And my fury, it upheld me. And I will tread down the people in mine anger, and I will make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth." That's when he's going to put down all authority in the earth. Okay? So, let me go back. And a matter of fact, let me refresh it, because I want to play that part again where he spit at them.
Justice for Jordan Hill. Anything to say to the family? Oh, you spit? Yeah. I'm going to see who's going to spit on you when you go to jail.
So let me get this quick precept. Because that's just straight up disrespectful, but that's clear hate seeping right through them. I wonder if they set up a GoFundMe for him. Good job. Let's send to his GoFundMe. Let's make sure we put in on his commissary, because they rewarding these racist Edomites, with these GoFundMes every time they do stuff like that. They commit a crime or they say a racial slur and they get fired or something like that. The Edomites, they rush to help them. And they make crazy money, get crazy donations, just showing their natural hatred. And it just echoes the sentiment of all of these Edomites. And hey, I prefer it to be this way. We're in 2026, man. All right, Trump trying to restore the feeling, and a lot of these Edomites, they getting they getting their courage up. All right, them horns is coming out. They're getting confident because Trump is trying to restore the feeling. Okay, getting rid of certain black history that opens up the shame of American history. He's trying to undo it all. And make sure that this white supremacist narrative, these white supremacist ideologies, scientific racism, they're bringing all that back. So clearly we in that time. It says, this is Psalms 25:19. It says, "Consider mine enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with cruel hatred." And let me go from there. Let me get Job 30 and verse 9, and I'm going to read it in the AMP. And Esau is the number one enemy when you read Psalms 83rd chapter, right? They are many and they hate me with cruel hatred. Let me get this in Job 30. Job 30 and 10. It says, they hate me, they stand aloof from me, and do not refrain from spitting in my face. And that's this piece of shit. You run over a child, take his life, didn't give two shits. You know, it didn't have any humanity. And then when his grieving relatives, you know, encounters you, you spit at them. So, yeah, I prefer that. Be all the way open with it. Show these delusional jakes that just because we're living in a world now where, you know, we can coexist. You know, we can eat at the same restaurants now and, you know, have access to some of the same schooling. Even though, for the most part, you still are segregated because you live in your own neighborhoods. And then when they want to live in your neighborhood, they just gentrify and, you know, bring up the property value, you know, put some Whole Food stores and Starbucks and stuff like that there, and then raise the housing market so that you can afford to live there and move you out. That's the only time they'll live in your neighborhood. And then other than that, you're not finna live where they live. So it's all systemic, of course, but you jakes gotta stop being delusional, stop being in denial. These people were never your friend. All right, they're natural enemies, man. The Lord made it that way. That nigga Anton Daniels was on Corey Hogan's show just cooning galore, man. I was disgusted. And yeah, Corey, you know, he didn't handle it, you know, with reason, with you know, he got a little emotional, and that made him look bad in the sight of the public. But that dude Anton, man, it was really disgusting. But eventually he'll end up getting his wake-up call. You know, all these jakes that still, you know, they have solidarity with these people and still want to save them, you know, still think that there's, you know, good Edomites. You're going to eventually fuck around and find out. And like it says in Proverbs 11, you know, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. They're still going to receive their judgment because the Lord don't forget anything. But anyway, let's play through this and then we'll close up.
Justice for Jordan. You racist fuck. Justice for Jordan. Wow. Justice for Jordan. He spit at the family. He just spit. There's no remorse. He just spit. And he drove his truck up here on a suspended license. Justice for Jordan. Justice for Jordan. You remember, you have a daughter. You better think about it. Justice for Jordan. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Justice for Jordan.
Hey, the Spirit made her say that. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And hey, Isaiah 63. You know, the day of vengeance is in his heart. Now let's go to the next slide. I think this is the news segment on, you know, the incident that happened.
And a family from Emmett County is speaking out after a verdict was reached in a hit-and-run accident that happened last April. 3 on your sides. Teddy Reedy has their reaction and joins us from the steps of the Emmett County Courthouse.
Just behind these doors here at the Emmett County Courthouse, a jury found Cody Rollinson not guilty earlier this week. Rollinson was accused in causing the ATV accident that killed Jordan Hill earlier this spring. Hill's family left reeling.
Shocked. I was shocked because you have all this evidence.
They're not guilty. See, see. So this is the reason why, you know, we're not going to get justice on this side. You know, ultimately, the Lord's going to come back and he's going to, you know, bring the justice. All right, too much bloodshed, man. And you know, the blood crieth up every time. So Esau, he got a lot to pay for, man.
Yes.
Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. Esau, he can commit a crime and hold himself not guilty, but you, Jake, you can even be innocent of a crime and he will hold you guilty. So, you know, you Jakes, man, y'all better really, really open up your eyes, man. Okay? These people, they're not godly people. Okay? And they never liked you at all.
Evidence, facts. And he still was found not guilty.
April 6, 2025 will always be a day the Hill family remembers forever. It's been 9 months since 10-year-old Jordan Hill was involved in a deadly crash that shook the small town of Gloucester. Shortly after the crash, Rawlinson was slapped with 2 charges, the first being aggravated DUI and the second felony leaving the scene of an accident. Rawlinson was found not guilty of both charges Wednesday.
A family from
was left stunned.
Right now I'm still crushed, but somehow I still have faith in the justice system. I just felt that this justice system here just failed us. Because
Well, let's get this in Isaiah. It's just not in their blood, man. The soul that is lifted up is not upright in him. Isaiah 26:10, let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In a land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. All right, and you know, don't expect to get righteous judgment from the devil. Okay. Ecclesiastes. Yeah, Ecclesiastes 5:8, it says, if thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. Because ultimately, you know, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the good and the evil. So he's going to bring everything into judgment. You know? So it's cool, you know. Esau could do what he do. That's why scriptures say, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. You know, this has been going on for centuries. You know, but now you got wicked Israelites that, you know, then as soon as they got a bag from them, now their mission is to save them now. You know, you can save them now. And just completely disregard what they've done these past centuries. So, yeah, the Lord's he's going to come back, and it's going to be a lot of reckoning. It's going to be a lot of reckoning, man. Okay.
because they had all the evidence. It was all presented in front of them. They had it. I don't understand why and how this could even happen.
Wanda Brown, Hill's mother, says her and her family are still very much grieving the loss of Jordan.
It's been hard. First Christmas, first Thanksgiving, everything is just, it still seems like a dream. We broken, we lost. We have a home, but it's empty, it's quiet.
Ever since Jordan Hill was laid to rest last April, his family has been seeking justice. Now that a not guilty verdict has been announced, Hill's family has to find ways to move forward.
Well, I still definitely want to get justice. So I feel like we should still
Was left.
post him on platforms and just make him known, so they won't let this die down.
The family believes there were a few jurors that knew about the case and should have not been allowed to be on the jury, but we have not been able to confirm those details.
Well, let me grab this scripture. This is the book of Nahum 1 and 3, and it says, I'll start at 2. It says, the Most High is jealous, and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord have his way in the whirlwind and in a storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. And let me get this in Obadiah. And it says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So it's cool, you know. Let everything take its course. But the Lord's gonna, it's all spiritual. We in the final days. So the Lord's going to basically increase the tension between Jake and E. All right. Esau is, getting in that stance. They've been training, taking matters into their own hands. And Jake, I don't know what the hell Jake been doing, bullshitting, debating about if Corey backed down from the fade from Anton Daniels and all that bullshit. But then you're going to have some Jake they ain't going to care, man. Jake is finna start getting in that revolutionary spirit. Like you got them Black Panthers that's coming out there, even though I believe that one guy in that chapter in Philly, I think that dude is an agent. I'm very suspicious of him. But nevertheless, that whole spirit is going to spark again. Now us, our approach is, we follow the blueprint in the steps of Yahushai. Yahushai came peaceful. He told us to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But we understand that the Lord is going to come back with that vengeance. And he said, wait ye upon me until I rise up to the prey. When we waiting on the Lord, because the Lord ultimately is going to give us that ultimate strength to take care of these vermin. All right, when he lift up that standard. So, yeah, man. Anyway, I'm going to end on that. I'm going to give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And I'll say until the next lesson, Shalom.